The assessment. The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 12,000 years, uniting nearly 30,000 species across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. Their technological superiority was unquestioned, their diplomatic network unparalleled, and their classification system for emerging sentient species was considered infallible. At least, that's what senior evaluator Xerax believed as he activated the holographic display in his private chambers aboard the Confederation assessment vessel Vigilant Observer. The blue-skinned Silurian adjusted his ceremonial evaluation robes and gazed at the slowly rotating image of Earth. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of mild amusement among his kind. As he reviewed the preliminary data, Computer, begin official assessment log for species designation Sol 3 Human, Xerax commanded, his voice resonating with the authority granted by 8 centuries of evaluation experience. The AI complied instantly. Assessment log initiated. Species: human. Planet: Earth. Stellar coordinates logged. Awaiting evaluation parameters. Xerax settled into his ergonomic chair, designed specifically for his quadrupedal body structure. Display technological advancement metrics. The hologram shifted to show a series of graphs and images. Primitive chemical rockets, rudimentary space stations, basic AI systems, and inefficient energy production methods. Xerax noted with particular interest their nuclear capabilities, destructive yet woefully inadequate against even the most basic Confederation defensive systems. Primitive, he muttered, barely into their atomic age. Computer, how long since they achieved controlled nuclear fission? Approximately 80 local planetary years, the AI responded. And their computing technology? Rudimentary quantum systems in development, primary reliance on silicon-based binary systems. Xerax made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. Display social cohesion metrics. The hologram shifted again, revealing images of human conflicts, political divisions, and cultural fragmentation, border disputes, ideological battles, economic inequality, all the hallmarks of an immature species. Computer, probability of planetary unification within next century. Based on current trajectory, 12.7% probability. As expected, Xerax said with finality. Computer, register official designation for humans. Class 3 species. Low technological advancement, minimal off-world capability, self-limiting social structure. Recommended observation protocol. Passive monitoring, review in 50 standard years. Classification recorded. The computer confirmed. Class 3. Non-threat. The door to his chambers slid open with a soft hiss, and junior analyst Nara entered, her slender form and iridescent skin marking her as a Vesperi, a species known for their intuitive pattern recognition. Senior evaluator. I've completed my supplementary analysis of human behavior patterns as requested, she said, her voice melodic, but tinged with uncertainty. Xerax gestured for her to continue without looking away from the hologram. Sir, while I acknowledge the technological and social limitations, I've identified concerning anomalies in their developmental trajectory, Naira said, activating her own datapad. Anomalies. Elaborate. Xerax commanded, finally turning his attention to his subordinate. Their rate of adaptation is unprecedented in our records. Look at this progression, she said, transmitting data to the main display. From first powered flight to lunar landing in 66 years. From basic computing to global information network in less than 50 years. Xerax waved dismissively. Rapid early development is common among species with short lifespans. It plateaus. But sir, there's more, Naira insisted. Their problem-solving approach defies our predictive models. They consistently achieve breakthroughs through what appears to be chaotic, inefficient methodologies. And their fiction. Fiction. Xerax interrupted, his tone bordering on mockery. Yes, sir. Humans devote significant resources to imagining scenarios beyond their capabilities. Space travel beyond their reach. Technologies they cannot build. Societal structures they haven't achieved. They envision it all in remarkable detail. Xerax's fourth eye twitched, a sign of irritation. Junior analyst, you've been with the assessment corps for 30 years? This fascination with human creativity is noted but irrelevant to threat assessment. Their imagination doesn't alter physical limitations. With respect, sir, I believe it does. Naira persisted. They imagine, then they build. Their fiction has preceded their technology repeatedly throughout their history. Xerax rose to his full height, towering over the junior analyst. The Confederation's classification system has guided our interactions with emerging species for millennia. Humans are Class 3, primitive, divided, and confined to their solar system. They possess no technology that could threaten even our oldest defensive systems. My assessment stands. He transmitted his authorization code to finalize the report. The Council has approved the establishment of diplomatic observation posts. We will allow limited human presence at designated stations as part of standard cultural exchange protocols. Nothing more. Naira bowed respectfully, recognizing the finality in his tone, but her eyes betrayed her continued concern. As you say, Senior Evaluator, the diplomatic exchange program is already underway. 6 months later, the Confederation outpost Stellaris orbiting in the Kuiper Belt of Sol system hosted its first human diplomatic contingent. Station Commander Vrokath, a hulking Dargonian with armored skin and ceremonial rank markings etched into his carapace, personally greeted the 5 human representatives as they disembarked from the Confederation transport vessel. "Welcome to Stellaris," Vrokath rumbled, his translation device converting his natural subsonic communication to human audible frequencies. "I am Station Commander Vrokath. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I extend peaceful greetings." The human delegation was led by a female with dark skin and remarkably composed demeanor. "Thank you, Commander. I am Ambassador Elena Chen of Earth's United Space Initiative. We are honored by this historic opportunity for interspecies cooperation." Vrokath noted how quickly the humans adapted to the station's artificial gravity and atmosphere mix. Their physiological resilience was impressive for a Class 3 species. "You will be provided access to designated areas," he explained as they walked through the station's central corridor. "Our cultural exchange center, limited scientific facilities, and communal gathering spaces are available to your delegation. Restricted areas are clearly marked." Ambassador Chen nodded respectfully. "We understand completely, Commander. We're here to learn, not intrude." Over the following weeks, Vrokath was pleasantly surprised by the humans' behavior. They were curious but respectful, eager to learn but careful not to overstep. The human technical specialist, Dr. James Rivera, seemed particularly fascinated by the station's waste reclamation system, a rather mundane technology by Confederation standards. "Your efficiency coefficients are remarkable," Rivera commented during a sanctioned tour. "Our comparable systems on Earth's orbital platforms operate at maybe 60% of this capacity." The Dargonian engineer conducting the tour seemed flattered by the humans' interest in such basic technology. Vrokath made a note to remind his staff not to indulge human curiosity too extensively, even regarding non-critical systems. What Vrokath failed to notice was how Rivera's questions systematically mapped the station's power distribution network, or how the seemingly innocent cultural exchange tablets provided to the humans were quietly scanning and cataloging every system they came in contact with. The first sign of trouble came 8 months after human delegations had been welcomed aboard 17 different Confederation outposts. Xerax was reviewing routine reports in his office on the Confederation capital world Sendera when an urgent communication interrupted his work. "Senior Evaluator, we've lost contact with Outpost Caridian in Sector 87, reported a communications officer, her voice tight with concern. Xerax frowned. "Technical malfunction. Unknown, sir. All communication channels went dark simultaneously. The automated emergency beacon never activated. Send a scout vessel," Xerax ordered, returning to his reports. Equipment failures happened, even with Confederation technology. 3 days later, Zirax stood before the Confederation Security Council, his usual confidence shaken. Honorable Council members, I must report that we have now lost contact with 5 outposts and 3 scout vessels sent to investigate. The pattern of communications blackout is spreading inward from our outer territories. High Counselor Fex, an ancient Aurolian whose crystalline body structure glimmered under the chamber lights, leaned forward. Your assessment, Senior Evaluator. The pattern suggests a coordinated disruption, not a natural phenomenon or technical failure, Zirax admitted reluctantly. An attack? Asked another council member, the word sending murmurs around the circular chamber. That remains unclear, Zirax replied carefully. No Confederation sensors have detected weapons fire or energy discharges consistent with known attack methods. What about unknown attack methods? Counselor Fex pressed. Before Zirax could answer, his communication device chimed with highest priority. Excuse me, counselors, he said, checking the message. His 6 eyes widened in sequence. What is it, Evaluator? Demanded Fex. 10 more outposts have gone silent, Zirax reported, his voice barely audible, including a Stellaris in the Sol system. The council chamber erupted in concerned voices, but Counselor Fex raised a crystalline appendage for silence. If this is indeed an attack, who possesses the capability to disable our communications so effectively? We have no known enemies with such technology. Junior Analyst Naira, present as part of Zirax's support staff, stepped forward hesitantly. Counselors, I believe we should consider the possibility that we've miscalculated regarding the humans. The Class 3 species, scoffed a reptilian counselor, with their chemical rockets and binary computers. The same species we've invited onto 17 of our outposts, Naira pointed out quietly, including all those that have now gone silent. A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the implication sank in. Zirax felt a cold dread spread through his body. It couldn't be possible. His assessment had been thorough, backed by millennia of evaluation protocols. The chamber's main display suddenly activated without command, showing the face of a human. Ambassador Elena Chen. Greetings, Confederation Security Council, she said calmly. By now you've noted the systematic communications failure across your network. I'm transmitting from what was formerly your outpost, Stellaris. I say formerly because this facility, along with 16 others, is now under human control. Zirax stared in disbelief as Chen continued. For centuries, humanity has known we weren't alone in the universe. We detected your observation probes, intercepted your transmissions, and prepared accordingly. When you finally revealed yourselves and classified us as a non-threat, we recognized the opportunity you presented. Chen's expression remained diplomatically neutral, but her eyes conveyed something Zirax had never seen in a Class 3 species: absolute confidence. Your outposts are intact, your personnel unharmed but contained. This is not a negotiation. It's a notification. The Galactic Confederation now faces a simple choice: peaceful recognition of human autonomy in this sector, or demonstration of why you should have classified us higher than Class 3. The transmission cut off, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Zirax turned to find Naira looking at him, not with accusation but with a sad understanding. How? He finally managed to ask. They did exactly what they've always done throughout their history, she replied softly. They imagined something beyond their capabilities, and then they built it. The Reckoning. Admiral Kelm paced the bridge of the Confederation dreadnought Immutable Law, his 4 arms clasped behind his back in the traditional Hextorian posture of strategic contemplation. As the highest-ranking military officer in the Confederation fleet, he had spent the last 3 days mobilizing every available warship to form a containment perimeter around the affected sectors. Status report, he demanded, his multifaceted eyes scanning the tactical display where red indicators marked each silent outpost. 78 outposts confirmed compromised, Admiral, reported his second-in-command, Commander Valix. The pattern continues to spread inward. We've established defensive positions at these coordinates. The display highlighted a series of green markers forming a rough semicircle. And the human homeworld. Earth remains within their solar system. Admiral. Our long-range sensors detect no unusual activity or fleet movements. Their primitive vessels continue normal operations between their planet and their moon. Admiral Kellum clicked his mandibles in frustration. It makes no sense. How could they control our outposts without ships to reach them? Where is their attack force? The bridge doors slid open as Senior Evaluator Zirax entered, accompanied by Junior Analyst Naira. The Admiral acknowledged them with a curt nod. Evaluator, your insight would be welcome. We face an enemy that doesn't appear to exist. Zirax looked haggard, his usually immaculate robes wrinkled from days without rest. I've been reviewing all available data on human technological development. There's nothing that explains their capability to neutralize our communication systems across such vast distances. Naira stepped forward hesitantly. Admiral, what if they didn't need to travel to each outpost? What if they were already there? Explain, Keln demanded. The diplomatic exchange program, she said. We've had human representatives on each affected outpost for months. Ambassador Chen, Dr. Rivera, and the others. Commander Velex scoffed. A handful of humans couldn't overpower our security forces. They wouldn't need to, Naira continued. What if their objective was never physical control but informational leverage? Before anyone could respond, the tactical display flickered. The green indicators marking Confederation defensive positions began turning red, one by one. Admiral, cried a sensor officer, we're losing contact with the perimeter fleet. Keln rushed to the console. All ships, emergency protocol Zeta-9. Fall back tow. The console went dead. Throughout the bridge, systems began shutting down in sequence. Communications, weapons control, navigation, life support, and finally, the main lighting. Emergency backups activated immediately, bathing the bridge in dim blue light. What's happening? Demanded Zirax. Admiral Keln's expression hardened. We've been compromised, just like the outposts. As if in response, every display on the bridge activated simultaneously, showing Ambassador Chen's face once again. Admiral Keln, I presume, she said with the same diplomatic calm she had shown the Security Council. Your vessel's systems are now under our control. Please instruct your crew not to attempt any heroics. The oxygen recyclers are quite delicate. Keln stepped forward, his warrior heritage evident in his posture. How are you doing this? Chen smiled slightly. You invited us in, Admiral. For 2 years before official first contact, your assessment vessels visited Earth. They scanned our technology, analyzed our communications, and mapped our defenses. What you failed to realize is that we were scanning you back. The display split to show technical schematics of Confederation systems, propulsion, communications, life support, weapons. Your technology is impressive, but surprisingly standardized across your entire network, Chen continued. Quantum entanglement communication seemed like magic to us at first, but once we understood the principles, we realized its vulnerability. The entanglement initialization sequence. Zirax gasped, understanding immediately. The Confederation's instant communication system relied on quantum-paired particles. New pairs had to be initialized through conventional signals before they could be used. The human technical specialists, he whispered. They weren't studying waste reclamation systems. Dr. Rivera and his counterparts on other stations were mapping your network architecture, Chen confirmed. Every time our primitive tablets connected to your systems for cultural exchange materials, they delivered specialized code, what you might call a virus, though it's considerably more sophisticated. Admiral Keln's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Impossible. Our security protocols would detect any foreign code. Not if it was disguised as routine system operations, Chen explained. Your systems are designed to detect attacks, Admiral. We didn't attack. We integrated. Each human device contributed small, seemingly innocuous modifications that, when combined across your network, gave us access to your initialization sequences. The Admiral's tactical mind quickly grasped the implications. You control our communication network. And through it, everything connected to that network, Chen added, which in your highly integrated civilization is everything. Naira stepped forward. You've been planning this since before we contacted you. Chen's expression softened slightly. For decades, we detected fragments of your transmissions. We knew something was out there, watching us. We prepared accordingly. But your technology, Zirax protested. Your primitive rockets, your basic computers, were exactly what we wanted you to see, Chen replied. Earth has maintained the appearance of division and technological limitation precisely to receive the classification you gave us. Class 3. Non-threat. The revelation hit Zirax like a physical blow. His entire career, the Confederation's millennia-old assessment protocols, all undermined by a species that had anticipated their methods and deliberately manipulated the results. Admiral Keln, ever the strategist, composed himself quickly. What are your demands? As I told the Council, this isn't a negotiation, Chen responded. Humanity claims this sector of space as our development zone. The Confederation will acknowledge our sovereignty and establish formal diplomatic relations as equals. And if we refuse, challenged the Admiral. Chen's expression remained neutral. Then we demonstrate why your classification system needs revision. We currently control 78 outposts, 213 vessels including your flagship, and have access to your entire communication network. We could shut down critical systems across your territory with a single command. She paused, allowing the threat to register. But that would be wasteful and contrary to our actual goal: peaceful coexistence on equitable terms. The bridge fell silent as the Confederation leaders contemplated their position. Finally, Zirax spoke. I need to understand. How did you achieve this level of technological advancement without detection? Our observation protocols have monitored Earth for centuries. Chen nodded. An excellent question, evaluator. 3 factors. First, we compartmentalized our true technological development in shielded facilities your sensors couldn't penetrate. Second, we maintained the appearance of division while actually unifying our efforts through hidden channels. And third, perhaps most importantly, we never stopped imagining possibilities beyond our current capabilities. She leaned closer to the camera. Your junior analyst was correct about our fiction, evaluator. We dream, then we build. We've been dreaming about meeting aliens for centuries, preparing for both peaceful exchange and potential conflict. Naira looked at Zirax with vindication in her eyes, but there was no satisfaction in it, only concern for what would follow. Admiral Kelm straightened to his full imposing height. The Confederation has stood for 12,000 years. We will not surrender to threats. Not surrender, Admiral. Adaptation. Chen corrected. Something humans excel at. We've studied your history as well as your technology. The Confederation began as a mutual defense pact between 3 species facing extinction from a common threat. You've since grown into an empire that classifies other sentient beings like specimens, deciding their fate based on arbitrary metrics. She gestured, and the display showed images of Earth, its diverse ecosystems, cities, and people. We could have revealed ourselves sooner, attacked when you were unaware. Instead, we chose this approach. Controlled demonstration of capability followed by diplomatic engagement. That should tell you something about our intentions. After a tense silence, Zirax spoke again. You've made your point, Ambassador. I recommend the Council accede to your terms, with negotiations on specific boundaries and protocols. Admiral Kelm turned sharply. Evaluator, you cannot be serious. I am entirely serious. Admiral, Zirax replied. I miscalculated once regarding the humans. I won't make that mistake again. They could have disabled life support instead of merely taking control of our systems. The fact that not a single Confederation citizen has been harmed in this operation speaks volumes. Chen nodded appreciatively. Your assessment is correct, evaluator. Transmit our terms to your council. As a gesture of good faith, we will restore partial communications to facilitate the discussion. Your crew and vessels will remain unharmed. The main systems of the bridge suddenly reactivated, though weapons remained offline. Chen's image disappeared from the main display, replaced by a simple text message with coordinates for a diplomatic meeting. As the bridge crew cautiously returned to their stations, Admiral Kelm approached Zirax and Naira. This changes everything, he said quietly. The assessment protocols, our security doctrine, all must be reconsidered. Naira looked thoughtful. Perhaps this is exactly what the Confederation needed, Admiral. We've grown complacent in our technological superiority. The humans have reminded us that innovation doesn't always follow predictable paths. Zirax gazed at the starfield visible through the bridge viewport. In 12,000 years, no species has challenged the Confederation this effectively. Yet they did it without firing a single shot, without destroying a single outpost. A bloodless revolution, Naira observed. No, Zirax corrected, a new understanding dawning in his 6 eyes. A wake-up call. And perhaps, exactly what they intended all along. 1 year later, Zirax stood in the newly constructed Confederation Human Liaison Center on Luna, Earth's moon. The facility represented the first tangible result of the treaty negotiations, a neutral ground where representatives from both civilizations could meet as equals. Ambassador Chen approached, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture that had now become familiar to many Confederation species. Senior Evaluator, welcome to Luna, she said warmly. Zirax returned the gesture awkwardly with one of his upper limbs. Ambassador, the facility is impressive for such short construction time. We had the plans ready long before they were needed, she admitted with a small smile. Hope for the best, prepare for all outcomes, an old human philosophy. They walked together toward the observation dome that offered a spectacular view of Earth rising over the lunar horizon. The Council has approved the revised assessment protocols, Zirax informed her. No species will ever again be classified solely on observable technology or apparent social structure. A wise adaptation, Chen replied, and the new cultural exchange programs. Proceeding with appropriate security measures on both sides, I note. Chen nodded, not bothering to deny the human precautions. Trust would take time to build. There's one question that still haunts me, Ambassador, Zirax said as they gazed at the blue planet. Was all of this necessary? If humans had simply revealed your true capabilities, could we not have established relations directly? Chen considered the question carefully before answering. History suggested otherwise, Evaluator. Throughout human development, technologically superior civilizations rarely treated less advanced ones as equals. We assumed the same might apply on a galactic scale. So you chose to demonstrate strength before seeking dialogue, Zirax concluded. We chose to ensure the dialogue would occur between equals, Chen corrected. Had we revealed ourselves too soon, we might have been seen as a threat to be contained rather than a civilization to be engaged. Zirax couldn't argue with the logic, unsettling as it was. And now, what do humans want from this new relationship? Chen turned from the viewport to face him directly. The same thing we've always wanted, Evaluator. To explore, to learn, to grow. But now, we do it alongside the Confederation rather than in its shadow. As they continued their tour of the facility, Zirax reflected on how thoroughly his understanding of humanity had been transformed. They were not the primitive, divided species he had classified so dismissively. They were complex, adaptive, and most concerning of all, impossible to fully predict. The Confederation had stood unchallenged for 12 millennia. Now it faced a species that had risen from obscurity to effectively checkmate an interstellar empire without firing a shot. Whatever the official diplomatic language might say about mutual respect and peaceful coexistence, One truth remained clear. The humans had earned their place among the stars not by asking permission, but by taking it. And the galaxy would never be quite the same again.